Welcome to 20 at 10 with Nat. I'm your host, Natalie. Let me tell you about my special guest. He was born and raised in Nashville and is a respected musician, producer, composer, and arranger. He's worked with some really incredible artists, such as John Paul White, Kesha, Casey Musgraves, Dolly Parton, just to name a few. He works on over 200 sessions a year, constantly shifting roles from producer to bassist to string arranger to engineer, bringing deep experience, creativity, and taste in every role. In the TV film world, he's worked on projects for DreamWorks, Disney, HBO, NBC, and most recently composed the main title theme for NBC News Now. That's pretty cool. These days, he lives with his wife, violinist Elizabeth Estes, and their 6-year-old daughter, Ivy, in Nashville. He also is the recording engineer on my upcoming album. Please welcome my friend, Jon Estes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for being my guest tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope I said everything right in your bio.
Totally.
Cool.
Totally. No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I'm recently in the stage of life where I'm having to blow up the text on my computer far away from me so I can read it.
Is that the glasses? Are you getting old really
I
quickly?
am. This is happening. Actually, this is the first pair. I've had a slight, things in the distance are kind of fuzzy. I have trouble reading menus and stuff at a distance. This is the first time I can, when I take them off, I see a dramatic difference.
Yeah. Glasses are awesome, aren't they?
I do like them, especially when you find a pair that fits your face really well.
Like when you get that fresh new pair and then you go outside and you're like, the world is so clear.
I got these on Friday.
Oh,
yeah. They're very fresh.
It's pretty cool. I can't do the contact thing. I've never been able to do it.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do contacts ever. So
it's like, can you touch your eyeball?
I can. The question is, well, how well will that turn out? Will I also get pink eye? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. But I watched a musician the other day. It was in the middle of the summer. It was a very hot performance. It was outside in Texas, and half their face melted off. Their makeup just melted off. And at the end of the performance, she hung out and watched the other performers and hung on after, and we were talking. And she was like, "Oh gosh!" And her contact was coming out.
Oh
She's
my
like,
gosh.
"No, I got this." And she just bloop, bloop, popped it right back in, and I was like, very intimidated by that confidence and putting in that contact. Wow.
When you started that story, I thought you said I washed a musician.
That would be another interesting story.
Didn't know where that one was going.
Can you imagine? I just got a hose and I went and sprayed them down because that was a very sweaty mess of a performance.
That would have been a more interesting story, but it was an interesting story. So, yes.
Yeah. Well, I have a few questions for you.
Yes.
About what you do, who you are. Well, first of all, we can come back to this one if you need to think about it.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of wondering, you're very much everything you do full-time, in music.
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened? What would you be doing if you were not doing music?
Oh, I don't know. I definitely tried to, there are other things I like, yes, that I'm sure I could do, but every time I tried not to do music, it was kind of like I had to do music, so those other things didn't really work out. I tried to go to college for something else, music could be a hobby, and then after a year, it was like, I'm gonna go to music school and do this, so I don't know the answer. There are things I like to do.
That's a
but
great
I
that's
can't.
a great answer.
I don't think I'd be very good at many other things.
That means you landed on a thing that you're really great at and you have the opportunity to do every day.
Yeah. It's like you have to, it's that saying, you have to like what you do, but that's the only, you get put through the ringer in this business, so you really do have to like it, right?
Yeah, that's true. And who is it? The writer for Doctor Who, I think. I watched him give a speech to graduates, and he was talking about, you better like what you do, because at the end of the day, all you have to show for yourself is your work. And if other people don't like it, then you're just stuck with your work. So you better like it.
Yeah.
You know? If other
Yeah.
people like it, that's great. And that's what we all want. But like at the end of the day, if nobody else likes it, you at least have to like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the other stuff gets stripped away quite often, where it's like, I'm not getting paid for this. And like today, I didn't today I didn't get paid to work. You know, I mean, like I just finished up a record, and then like I basically spent all day printing like stems, doing like mix notes and tidy work to send it to the mixing guy, and it's like the budget's already gone. So yeah, so today's a good example. I told the guy I would do a string arrangement for free, so I just did a string thing, and it's like sometimes you're doing work, you're not even getting paid, so you
Right.
just the only thing left is like, do I enjoy this? And because otherwise, if you don't have that part, then you would just quit.
Right. At what point do you make the call to
Mm-hmm.
offer something for free?
I
what-
yeah.
Because different people have different perspectives on it.
Yeah, there's no rules. It's just a feel thing. You know, it's just a feel thing. Like I just know that this is a project that was really cool. I had fun doing it. It's a really cool record. I know that the budget is gone. Like I can't be like, can you pay me more? It's not one of those things. And I'm just kind of like, this is really cool. I'll just, I'm so invested in the music that I'll just do this because it's gonna be cool, and those kinds of things always end up paying off in the end.
Right.
Somebody might hear it, or the person might be more inclined to recommend you for something, or be really happy about it, or amazed, and
That's
those
true.
kind of little karma nuggets always work themselves out. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I like that
I don't
you
know
feel
about
it
the whole
out.
free thing. I always try to get paid. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Right.
It's just a weird world now too, where some people really are just like broke or just paying for it out of their own pockets, and you kind of want to do a favor or two,
Totally.
because of the circumstances.
Totally. Well, what part of the music process?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have two separate questions. One has to do with the studio, and one is just music in general. Because you've touched all parts of music, from being a listener. You've probably taught, I'm assuming.
I'm not a very good teacher, but I try.
But you have, that goes into the question. You've produced, you've arranged, you've performed, you've been a session player, you have done all the aspects of music performed. What part of the music process brings you the most joy?
I don't know. It's kind of all of it.
But you do a lot of it in studio, but what parts get you a little extra excited? You know?
Probably I think the studio thing is sort of where I belong. And then sort of like the rush of kind of like starting at the beginning of the day with nothing, and then by the end of the day it's like, oh, we created something.
Oh yeah.
It's I like that. Performing live doesn't have that creation, like, here is a product that we created, and I like that. I think it's very human, like the essence of being human is like creation of art, or I created a house, I created this thing. Like, it's a very magical thing to literally create something that didn't exist, that's unique in the world. And
yeah, I like that.
So I like that thrill, that rush of, doing something that's good and fresh. And so I've kind of gotten away from performing live as I get older. I honestly could do without it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm probably the only person. I'm okay if I never tour again. Honestly, I'm okay if I even don't play a gig again. I'm weird like that. But just as long as I'm playing in the studio, like playing with people, making music, and doing stuff live, doing all that. But that's just, I definitely enjoy that side of it more.
And then well, you maybe kind of answered it. My studio question was going to be like, what's your favorite part of the studio? Like, do you have a favorite role? Like, all the different, because you've done. I mean, you even in my project, you did multiple parts. You played instruments. You were tracking. You know, set up, tear down.
Yeah.
Making biscuits every day. Like, that was the most surprising part of being in the studio to me, and I think you totally spoiled me. And I don't think that any experience is really going to live up to that. But fresh biscuits and jelly, that was so good.
That's just a joke because there's the Sound Emporium is like my favorite studio in Nashville, and they make biscuits. They're frozen.
Oh, really?
They're frozen. They're from Costco. I know your secret, Sound Emporium. If you're watching, you're not watching. But yeah, and you walk in the Sound Emporium, and the engineer puts out like a tray of biscuits and jam, and you're like, I could get used to this life. So try to offer that service, the biscuit service.
The biscuit service.
The biscuits, they're cheap,
so
they're easy.
Good.
I know.
Chris, what's up, Chris? Chris tuned in, and he said he's gonna make T-shirts.
I always try to get paid, but it doesn't always work out. Oh my god. Can't believe I said that.
No, it's good though, and I feel like it's at some point in every creative's life, we've thought that or said that out loud, or yeah.
I know.
Lived it.
I guess this is the problem: is that when you say like, "When's it good to offer something for free?" I feel like the kinds of people who like are thinking that are sometimes thinking of an ulterior motive. They're thinking like, could I use this as a way to get new customers? Could I use this as a way to get more business? Stuff like that. But literally for me, every time it's just falling in a pit. And the pit is that I like the music. And I just get caught up in wanting to make good music. Like I'm 14 years old again. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh shoot, I'm like, how can we still make this really cool art? I get caught up in the like that side of it. And then you're like, oh shoot. I'm like spending all this time working on something and I'm like not getting paid.
Right.
So luckily like those little favor nuggets work themselves out in the world. But yeah, I don't know about like, sometimes I see studios being like, book 5 days, get a 6th free or something. It's like, there's always like this seedy used car salesman vibe about it. Like, offering, I'll mix for free, a spec mix. And it's like, ooh, those kinds of seedy things never work out.
Well, I think I was, I wasn't.
Your record, I definitely got caught up in like, this record's awesome. And like, I was like waking up, I was like putting in like hours of work before everyone got in the studio on like trying ideas and stuff. And I'll always go crazy if I love the record. Which luckily is...
Well, and your attitude about it was really contagious because it meant that pretty much every day in studio I was coming in excited too. Except the last day. I came in crying the last day.
You were crying?
Do you remember that? It was the day we were going to record the Grandma song.
Sort of.
You and Mary were deep in Compland.
I have bad memory.
And I was just a little bit embarrassed because I was like red-faced, like, I haven't finished rewriting this verse because I just keep crying. And then I went upstairs for like an hour or two to like rewrite the verse. Anyways, man, it was very memorable in my mind, but...
I'm glad it was. I don't remember.
Well, good, because I don't want to be remembered for crying on the last day in studio.
You're not remembered for crying. You're just remembered for being badass and
cool.
Sweet. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well... What's been like one of the most memorable moments in studio for you? It could be your own studio or being in someone else's. Like, what's something that comes to mind? Maybe kind of a crazy story that just, wow, pinch me. Am I here right now? Or like, I don't know, somebody spilled coffee and ruined all the gear. I don't know. Just like, is there any kind of like,
oh my gosh, just
interesting.
Like, so many. I could do like, I feel like all my life is pretty like, now I have like my own studio here at my house, my basement. And
it's a really cool studio.
Yeah. And like,
I mean, I thought it was cool.
I don't think too many like crazy, like it's not like Dolly Parton's walking in my house, Those things happen elsewhere. So I feel like my crazy stories, those kinds of pinch me stories, help happen elsewhere.
That's fine. Do you have any that were interesting that you
But
want
yeah,
to
like
share?
all of those are interesting. When did I play? Oh yeah, like that Dolly Parton thing. That was so weird. I guess like Kesha heard like there's this instrumental like kind of surf rock band I play in Nashville called Steelism. It's like just instrumental, 60s psychedelic, cool band. And I guess Kesha had like some kind of she wanted to have some kind of country songs on her record. And so somebody was like, "Well, use Steelism. They're young and cool, cooler than the old guys." And so she hired us basically just to play.
That's
And that
cool.
was so surreal because it was like we just went to the studio and we all set up like we normally do. And then she was there singing with us, Kesha. And then
How was
we
that?
record. What's that?
She's got a crazy voice.
Yeah, and it
How
was
was that?
totally like she was just in a vocal booth, and we just played the songs like 2 or 3 times, and then like that's the versions that are on the record with no overdubs or edits. Just like what is going on? How is this? It was like the
Wow.
easiest. It was bizarre because it was so normal.
Yeah. What?
Yes.
And she like they used her vocal. Did they? I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
live vocal.
like they didn't do any comping either.
Live vocal with the band.
That's
Yeah, there was like one take where she
amazing.
was like, "This is awesome," and that's what's on there. I swear to you,
I love it. That's really
nothing
cool.
is added, subtracted, or
She
changed.
she's got a really powerful voice.
Yeah,
She's a
and then
very
Dolly
interesting
Parton
person to me.
overdubbed on one of the songs from her house. I imagine she was like in
One of
a
Kesha's songs?
Dolly Parton sang on one of those on top of one of those Kesha songs. That
Oh,
was by Dolly
dang,
Parton.
that's
I imagine that Dolly
wow.
Parton sang from her house and she was like into like a gold like microphone, like in the bathtub.
Was this during the pandemic or before?
This before.
That's
She was
cool.
just like, screw it. I'm just doing it from my house. So it
All
was so
right.
bizarre. That was so bizarre. And then like at the lunch break, it was like I was sitting out there and it was like just me and Kesha and like her mom and her brother. She didn't have like any she just came with her mom and her brother. No management, just her mom and her brother. And her mom and her brother were like kind of telling her what to do, like, hey, you should sing out like that on the second verse. And
Was it like good advice or was it like, all right?
yeah. And then like so she grew up in Nashville and so did I. And we're like the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So then like we're like eating lunch and she just looks so wacky. Like her lips are totally plastic surgery, just bizarre human. You see them in real life and it's like you're so this fake human.
Right.
And we're like it's like, "Hey, did you used to roller skate at the like Brentwood roller skating place? Oh my gosh. Like, did
That's
you used to
cool.
go to the Hickory Hollow Mall? Oh, I loved that mall."
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
yeah,
funny.
very
That
bizarre.
sounds fun. And that was Grammy nominated, right?
Yeah.
Their project?
Yeah, got like the best vocal performance or something like that.
Rock
So yeah.
on. Yeah, that's cool.
It's so silly how those things like it was literally like it was like not even a full day. It was like one half. It was like a half a day in the studio. That was it. I made like $500.
Awesome. So funny how that stuff works
People
out.
are always like, yeah. I think there's like this misconception that sometimes side musicians like, whoa, you played on this huge record, wow, and it's like, yeah, I made like $500, and then like I'll do like an indie record that's like 10 days, and it's like, yeah, I made like $5,000, but it's like so funny how sometimes those things are just like not really a big deal at all,
Yeah.
you know.
But your name's on it, right?
I guess,
Like,
yeah.
I
It would
mean,
be horrifying if I listed how much I got paid for certain things. Um, some of which I'm proud of, like the music's cool, but sometimes, yeah, you play bass on like a song that has like 50 million plays on Spotify, and you're like, oh yeah, I did that for $100. Whoops.
I mean, but some of that you don't know. You know when,
Well, at least I know
ah,
that they're only making like $10 on Spotify,
that's
anyways.
true.
So
I mean,
I can take
Yeah.
solace in the fact that they're not making much because the music industry is so bad.
Yeah. Um, what one thing I like to ask all of my guests is what is your first memory of hearing a piece of music and your mind being blown? Like you loved it. You're like, what is this? I need more of this.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
It's my favorite question.
Do you know that
Most
scene from Ratatouille when he like bites into the ratatouille and then his mind
He's
like
like,
transports back to his childhood? I need to do that. I need to eat something from my childhood. Hold on.
you have fresh biscuits waiting on the side right now.
Yeah. um, something that blew my mind.
Or
Well,
got you really excited as a kid.
I definitely like had a super normal '90s upbringing where it's like, wow, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, or like, wow, Pearl Jam, like Oasis, you know. But I think the music that definitely put me out of that box was probably my dad used to listen to like some jazz, and he loved Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. So he used to
Mm-hmm.
play that for me when I was a little kid, and that stuff blew my mind. Do you know that band, Bela Fleck and the Flecktones?
No.
It's kind of like you wouldn't like it.
I wouldn't like it?
It's like Bela Fleck is like the most famous banjo player in the world. Kind of has
Okay.
this band that's they're from Nashville, and it's very very virtuoso, showy, flashy music. But I grew up on that hardcore. That was like my bread and butter. So when I heard that first, I was like, mind blown. And that that was like probably why I was like, I want to play bass. I want to learn how to do that. That play like Victor Wooten was the bass player. So
Ooh.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. So I definitely went hardcore in that shredding bass land when I was a kid, and they're all in Nashville, so it's a whole world.
Did you
That
ever
I sort of
interact with them?
totally yeah.
Were you cool or did you like, oh, were you freaking out inside?
Yeah, this is like a little side story. It's funny because some people in Nashville know me as this. They know me from that era. So when I was a
Oh.
teenager, um, yeah, I just got obsessed with like playing all these bass pyrotechnics and stuff, and um, I ended up studying with those guys, the Wooten brothers and Victor Wooten, and so when I was a teenager, I was kind of like gigging around Nashville and playing with all those kind of people, and so some people in Nashville know me from those days of being like a shredding young bass player. I try and hide that now. Like, hey, I'm just a cool producer. Uh, I don't play crazy bass like that anymore. But
That's funny.
yeah, that was my upbringing. It's definitely like that weird Nashville world of like Bela Fleck and the Wooten brothers and stuff like that. That's cool. You don't know
Nice.
that though.
I mean, okay.
No, it's
Sometimes,
cool. Like I mean that. Like it's actually like nice to because I've definitely tried to get away from that over the years.
cool.
Um, it was definitely like I was obsessed with this guy Victor Wooten, basically just trying to play exactly like him, and um,
But it
so it was,
shaped part of who you are, you know?
yeah, and
Their
then it's
music
like
moved you in some way,
yeah,
and
and
that's
it's good
great.
to
You
sort
don't,
of like do that and then get away from it. So this is me getting away from it 20 years later.
okay.
Um, but yeah, so that was definitely the stuff that when I was a kid sort of blew my mind and probably set me on this weird little path that I've been on.
Well, the last question I have for you before
Mm-hmm.
we move on to the other parts of the show.
Mm-hmm.
What's something you wish you could tell your younger self?
Oh no. Wish I could tell my younger self. Like like a word of advice.
Yeah, like I would, and it could be something big, it could be something profound, or something
It's
super
not like
simple.
invest in Bitcoin or
Well,
something.
no, like, I mean, maybe music related, but it didn't have to be. Like, I would tell myself, maybe it's like one of your regrets or whatever. Like, I went to prom with this guy, and it's a complicated story. But anyways, I was so freaked out about it. I was like, oh no, no, you come with my group of friends. This is not a date. We're not, because I've never been on a date. I was all freaked out. It was my first dance, first date, whatever. I was so freaked out. I wouldn't hold his arm, like, walking in. If I could tell myself anything, be like, just hold his arm. It's fine. Like, you're not getting married. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I would tell myself. Chill out.
I know. It's hard because so many of the things that you would warn yourself about are like the mistakes you made that shaped who you are. If you don't make the mistakes, then you don't become who you are, you know? Mistakes are awesome.
But I think, yeah, I agree, generally.
As
In
long
that
as you're
situation,
as long
I
as
feel
you're
like...
still alive, you know, but
True.
like, you know, telling your older self, like, you know, like something like, don't get too invested in someone else's music. You know, that's a common producer thing. And, you know, young producers, they get their hearts broken and stuff. They're working too hard. They get too wrapped up in the project. And then the artist is like, I don't like this. I'm going to scrap it. And you're like, that's my baby. No, it's not your baby. It's their baby.
Right.
But if I told myself that, you know, like you got to go through a few of those to like learn to not be like that. I don't know. I think I'd just say invest in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I kind of wish I'd figured that out 10 years ago.
Buy every house in East Nashville. I planned this out once. When I was in high school, I would have started a lawn cutting business in the summers.
Right.
Cut the lawns, use the money to grow that business bigger. Mm-hmm. By the time I graduate high school, I got a sick lawn care business. Buy as many houses in East Nashville as I can.
Just sit on it for 20 years.
Yes, sit on it till the year 2020. No, sell it. Be one of the first investors in Facebook. Be one of the first investors in Bitcoin. I'd be a billionaire.
Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have told myself.
All right. So like financial security related.
No, I'm just being silly.
Okay.
It would be fun to go back in time and totally become a billionaire.
Hey. But if you were a billionaire today,
it would be horrible.
What would your day-to-day life look like? No. What would you choose to spend your time doing?
I know. I've actually talked to my wife about that. Like, if we had, like, $5 million, what would we do? And I think we'd basically do the same thing, you know? And I think
like,
that's a good point to be at. I don't think it would be like, I'm going to work less. I think I would still do what I do. It would be very, like, soul-sucking to, like, to not do what you love, you know?
Would you be more selective with projects you took on, or like,
no.
Would it change the way that you choose to work with people?
I don't think so.
Cool.
Because I think in general the people that I don't really like advertise or anything. I don't really ever work with like random people. It's always a friend of a friend or I mean you came
randos.
To me I don't work with randos. You came to me through Mary, you know.
Yeah.
And I completely trust Mary, and so it's always like that. So I'm always basically stuck working with stuff I enjoy, and I would just continue that. So
awesome.
But it would be cool to have some fancier acoustic guitars.
Hey. All right. Ready for a rando question?
I don't work with randos. Just kidding.
But this is a friend of me,
I trust your friends.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever won more than $500 gambling?
I don't gamble. Las Vegas is the worst place in the world.
Okay. Next question. Have you ever snitched?
Like,
I guess tattled?
Snitched?
Yeah. Like, told on someone else?
Told on someone?
Yeah. Remind me, do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have a brother. It
seems like it maybe would have happened with a sibling.
Yeah, I'm sure. Nothing comes to mind as like a whistleblower in a high profile case.
Mine would have been. I totally have, and it was mostly with my siblings. Mostly my brother Chris.
They're like, hey, I did it.
He did a lot of stuff though, so it was like, take your pick. What do you want to tell on?
Yeah, we don't do secrets in our house.
Have you ever told off a boss?
I've never had a boss.
Oh, okay.
That's the key. I did have a boss for a little bit, maybe. I worked at a studio in East Nashville for a couple years and kind of had like a boss. But I have been doing music since I was a little wee one, and I've never really had I've never had a job like a work at a coffee shop or anything.
Okay.
So
I don't think I have. I mean, I've had bosses, but I don't think I've ever told off anyone.
yeah, I guess in music,
I feel like
I guess a producer or an artist could be. I'm I'm from the South, and I mean, the Tennessee way is to not be confrontational. You know,
that's a southern thing. I feel like I've absorbed that as well. I
yeah,
will be if I need to be, but like if it's really like when
you
I
know how it
hear that
is.
word "tell off," it makes me think in
Yeah,
anger, like "f you."
I feel
I've
like
never done that.
you go to Baltimore or DC or Boston, it's like people will tell you be more in your face, like they'll tell you straight up,
Yeah,
and then like my mom, yeah, she'll like it's definitely like that. Bless her heart. Or you see someone and oh, it's so good to see you. How are you doing? And then later on the phone, oh my god, I can't believe that she was.
that's funny. Yeah,
It's
totally a
it's a
southern.
poisonous culture here. Yeah, it's definitely like even if someone asks me to do a gig, I would never say I don't want to do it or I can't. I would just be like, oh yeah, I'm busy. I'll be out of town.
Yeah,
Totally
it's
non-confrontational.
yeah. So I have a friend from New York, and that's a thing she struggles with in Texas because she's like, people get really offended if you say you don't like their music. It's like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
never.
artists are the most fragile creatures.
Yeah,
But like, how do you? Because like, I don't know, and so like, how I. But I also don't like the idea of lying to people because I feel like that does no one any favors.
hmm
If you're like, yeah, you're doing great, you should do this for a living. You should, d-
yeah,
anything. If you don't either think they're good or maybe you just think their music is bad, which is technically relative, but maybe it's objective. I don't know. Like, there's
I don't
always
know.
something the
You can't tell
wow.
someone their music's bad. I mean,
No, I have a sneeze coming on.
yeah, I
There's
know.
always something true and kind you can say,
Totally. Yeah, and that's
and
like
that's what I look for.
that's human psychology. Nobody wants to be told they're bad. That's
But I mean, like, if someone's like, "What do you think of this?"
don't keep it nice.
But like, I feel like if you're in the Northeast, people will be like, "Yeah, I think it sucks," or like, "No one's gonna listen to that," or like, "The like,"
Yeah,
and it'll be like an honest statement of like,
yeah,
"I don't like it," or "I don't care about it," or "I don't think it'll go anywhere."
yeah,
Maybe
totally.
I
No,
don't
it's
know.
it's funny the cultural differences in that, but yeah, definitely Nashville's hardcore in the uh the non-confrontational communication.
It's hard to read into
Steeped
it
in that
sometimes,
tradition.
or
What's
read
that?
too much. It's hard. I think
Super
I've
hard.
had a couple moments where like I wasn't reading the politeness
hmm
correctly, and then later it's just silence, because eventually you might keep asking about
hmm
something and then they just sort of disappear because
It's
they're
super
like,
duplicitous, and yeah, it's like the worst of it is like as a man, growing up in that culture, you'll see like a woman walk in the room. And it's like, oh, it's so great to see you. So, and then she walks out, and all the guys are like, oh man,
nobody
like
likes like that, nobody likes her kind of thing, or
no, like, oh, did you see her like that hot piece of ass, or like,
oh
it's like, oh, I hated like growing up in that culture, the very duplicitous. That's like the classic, like yeah. There's always like that two face like acting thing that happens down here, especially I think in like yeah, I could go on, but there's there's a lot of like bad people in different ways.
problematic
And
cultural norms.
and that's like the southern church culture as well. I
Yeah,
think
it's not, no one's
you
really
put on your
exempt.
face and it's like, okay, I'm a good person, and then like later you're not a good person.
Yeah,
That's deeply ingrained in our society in Nashville. So
yeah.
that's part of the whole duplicitous non-confrontational thing. So anyway, that's
Oy.
that's my answer to your question.
Well, thank you. I have already forgotten what the question is at this point. Oh, told off a bus.
What
Cool.
is your favorite food?
Okay, do you have a question for me?
Oh man. I'm sure. I have a million questions for you. Let's think of a good one though. What am I interested in knowing? So yeah, what's your take on this whole? I quit my Spotify thing. What's your take on this mess?
Oh, I just messaged someone about it because I saw it. Was it is it Neil Young who
Hmm.
someone is
Neil
like
Young and Joni left.
boycotting Spotify because of
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, right? And then I saw. Do you follow Tank's Good News?
No. What is that?
He just posts like uplifting stories that and funny stuff that memes and stuff that people post. It's pretty funny. Do you do social media? You're on Instagram. You're on
Just
Instagram. I
just
follow you.
Instagram. Just Instagram.
He's on Instagram. I'll share it with you.
Okay.
And he posted something today or yesterday, and just talking about how like if you're like that listening to a podcast is kind of like listening in on someone's conversation.
Hmm.
If you're at a restaurant listening in, you're eavesdropping in someone's conversation. And, one person maybe sounds like they know what they're talking about, but like you don't know either of them. Like,
Hmm.
are you going to go and you don't like what they're saying or you disagree or you think what they're talking about is wrong?
Hmm.
Like, are you going to go to the manager and ask them to close down the restaurant
Mm.
because of what they're talking about?
Mm.
And he brings up a good point that like there is we all have some ownership and we all have responsibility, like what we put into our brains, like what we choose to take time and listen to
Hmm.
and believe. And like he totally has a large following and platform, and I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it, but these are some things that I've been hearing and I'm like, that makes sense about the restaurant.
I had
I
I
don't
had a
know, like
yeah.
Spotify hasn't really been, there's been Spotify has, artists have mixed feelings about Spotify. Like I feel like I have to be on it because
Hmm.
there's always the chance you'll be discovered like people's playlists and
Hmm.
stuff. And always there's someone that's like, "Well, are you on Spotify?"
Hmm.
Or, "Well, are you on Apple?" I'm like, "I'm everywhere at this point."
Yeah, of
And I
course.
I think I maybe made maybe $50 last year
Yeah.
on all of the streams
Yeah.
everywhere. And though the majority of that was from people actually purchasing through, I guess, somewhere.
iTunes, like
iTunes?
Amazon
Can you?
MP3 or something.
Yeah, like people actually purchasing the music. So like,
Yeah.
99 cents a track.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So like I didn't, like
Yeah.
it's like a necessary evil is what it feels like. And I used to listen to Spotify for free and I just put up
Hmm.
with the ads, and then I decided if I'm a musician, I should at least be paying for Spotify if I'm
Yeah.
listening to it. And I don't actually listen a whole lot. Like I'm not constantly listening because if I'm always
Hmm.
listening, I'm not creating. And so like, but I use it for playlists, and that's really helpful for me. Like I'll build
Yeah.
playlists. I was gonna call it a spec list. I mean a sample list of
Oh
like
yeah. They
sounds
have
that
the
I'll give
best.
to a producer.
They have the sickest platform for sure.
Yeah, so I feel like it's well done in that sense. And so,
Hmm.
but is it helpful to artists? I don't know, because has it really helped me as an artist grow? I don't know, but I do use it as a tool. Like if I am maybe interviewing an artist or I want to know about someone
Yeah.
or I'm researching someone, I'll go and I'll read their Spotify bio because it has pictures
Mm.
too. And I
That's
think it's
cool.
interesting. Some of the links are live. You can click on other producers and people in their bio.
Hmm.
And so you can kind of go on a little rabbit trail. It's like a more, especially if it's written by the Spotify
Yeah.
Ravi, or I forgot their names, Jenny, Ravi, I don't know. If it's written by them, like it's somewhat more reliable. I don't know. I found it to be a helpful tool, but do I make
Yeah. No,
money
it's
on it?
super.
Not really.
There's so much good stuff and so much bad stuff about it. you
Do I
know.
love do I love that the founder is, one of the wealthiest people?
Yeah. It's just such a shame. Like I feel like they're so close to being good. Like so close. Like there's no reason they have to be bad. They could pay musicians more.
Totally. And weren't they at the
They don't
forefront
need to
of like,
sue the songwriters for like a lower royalty rate and like
yeah, that's
it just
so
feels inflated. It has that like stench of like evil about it. It's like, but why can't it just be more equitable, you know?
yeah.
Um, I think the real offense is like that musicians feel is like everybody has this deep wound, especially anybody who's been doing this for a while. Like songwriters are older than me. They're just like it's just this constant degradation of everybody's income from the year like 19 I don't know 95 until now. It's just like where it was to where it is now. It's just like almost getting to the point where people can't even make livings, and it's Spotify's definitely complicit in that. And like everybody's just like and I think a lot of people are just like waiting for the moment to rise up, and be like, this is ridiculous. But I think this was sort of like a maybe just another thing, another reason to get mad at them. But
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm really curious to see how the streaming in our culture affects us as a generation.
yeah,
And I mean, I already see that because the majority of my adulthood has been post Napster, and
mm-hmm.
like just, as soon as you can, what was it, burning a CD onto your computer and then
Mm-hmm.
distributing, you could do anything with those files. You could replicate them and make mix CDs and like give them to
I
your
know.
friends and stuff. And like it took more effort, but people, I don't know, it just, so I'm in the generation that like continues to expect more for less.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do to us as a culture? And I don't
Yeah.
know that it's not just Americans. Like it's other cultures too,
Oh
but
yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. I try not to be like an angry old man about it. Like the digitization of music is ruining it. I just kind of go with the flow and adjust.
do
But
you know of any restaurants or coffee shops or public spaces that you can just go and chill maybe with a cup of coffee that aren't playing music on speakers?
oh, I don't know. Not really. Maybe it would feel. I went in a coffee shop the other day that they didn't have music playing, and it was like, this is weird. Put some
But
music on for Christ's
was
sake.
it weird or was it kind of refreshing?
So
Like,
horrible. So
really?
horrible. Oh yeah, it was like Ivy and I went to this place to get some donuts, and they didn't have music, and they were like having trouble with their machine, and then people were
Oh,
waiting, and then just the whole collective vibe was just horrible. And finally they like put on some music, and everybody was just like, oh, okay, it's gonna be all right.
interesting. Well, I for one, there was a summer where a season where I was like going on dates with this person, and we mutually were like, we cannot find a place where we can have a conversation and hear each other.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean the new restaurants in general are just like loud, right?
and they're not built well. Like, it's very
Yeah.
echoey, and like I also noticed it with my my grandmother who's hard of hearing. We couldn't ever take her anywhere. Like, she would never enjoy being there because she couldn't hear anything because it was so echoey.
That's funny.
And so, like, it was an interesting. Like, there aren't many spaces created to actually build depth in relationships because music is like, I feel like, blocking it out.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point.
And
Yeah,
also, it's like it becomes an expectation that there's always going to be music accessible for free.
yeah,
Where I'm not paying for that performance. I mean, I bought a cup of coffee, but
I know
I sit here for
it's
5 hours and then, whatever.
it's so
It's an
weird.
interesting thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's weird, and we have no control, and they've got us by the balls.
Yeah.
Like take your music off Spotify. It's like, but I
That would
need
do
that.
nothing. Like, I would not make any splash or like any wave,
Yeah,
if I
yeah, I
did that.
know. It's like there's as much as I'm like saying it was better back then, and it was, but um, it's always been weird. I think when I talk to people who are working in the like 1950s and 60s, it's
Mm-hmm.
like they talk about how like the mafia controlled the radio, and that it's basically like a criminal enterprise that owned the record labels and dealt with the payola and the radios, and it's always been weird. And in the 90s, like all the crazy to get on the radio. I mean, it's always been like there's so many good things that have been removed. Like the gatekeepers, of saying, like if you want to be a pop star, you couldn't have had like a Billie
My bed is over
Eilish.
here. Yeah.
You couldn't
Like,
have
if
had a
you
Billie Eilish in the 90s, right? It's like
yeah.
So like there are some great things now that have come at the price of like making it more accessible. But
Totally. And technology, because I'm like, I just realized we've been ranting about a thing. I don't want to like focus on something we're both like negative about. But technology totally has improved a lot of things in the music process.
oh yeah,
Things
it's
that
so
weren't
crazy
possible
now.
for, like the whole, even in the pandemic, I was able to track vocals from my closet
It's
and
crazy.
send them to people for their albums and stuff.
You
And
can make
like,
like a professional record with like $600 worth of gear.
yeah, crazy. So like it both has become more accessible for artists to
Hmm.
create if you have the drive to create.
Yeah, I
And
love
at the
that
same
side of it.
time, also it is a even more noise in the world.
Mm,
Like it's hard to know how to cut through the noise as an artist. So,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah, that would be that. Luckily, is a world I don't have to deal with, and that would drive me crazy. But like, look at me, because nobody wants to do that, but it's necessary. You know.
you ready for the next question?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Have you ever been in a food eating contest?
yeah.
And
Not.
did you place?
You want to do one? I'll do it. Let's do it. What do you want to eat?
No, have you ever been in one?
Just when we were kids, we would always see who could eat the most rolls at
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
All
I never
right.
won. But now that I'm a larger, older man, I could definitely eat probably 1,000 donuts. Anyways,
Or donut holes. Man, I love donut holes.
I could eat a lot of donuts. I don't think there's a limit to how much bacon I could eat. I think that would be
Okay.
like, it would be an infinite amount.
I saw a BuzzFeed article, and it was like 60 like tweets of people asking, "Do Americans really do this thing? Because that's weird, or is that just in the movies?" And one of them was like, "Do Americans really eat bacon with their hands, or is that just in the movies? That's so weird." I was like, I mean, I guess it is.
Eat bacon with your. They eat with bacon with a knife and a fork.
I don't know. Now I'm like, well, what does everybody else do?
I remember I lived in Germany for a little bit, for half a year, and I remember like being blown away when I went out there at how everybody eats with like a knife and a fork. Uh, you know, knife in the right hand, fork in the left. How it's supposed to be.
Knife in the right, fork in the left.
Knife in the right, fork in the left.
Oh, yeah.
Cut the
Okay.
meat, do it in the mouth. In America, we like cut with our knife and then you switch, right? You're like constantly switching or cutting with your fork.
I just
But it's
adopted
like
the European way because there's less switching involved. I'm just like,
the Europeans
cut,
are switching all.
lark.
Oh no, the Europeans don't switch. So yeah, Americans are switching and just we don't know what we're doing. We're eating with our hands. We're barbarians, and but yeah, it's definitely way more customary to eat with a fork and a knife. I think in Europe. So maybe that was a European question.
Well, I do remember when I had braces, I learned to eat everything with a fork and a knife because it was so much less work in my to get stuff out of my braces later. Like I eat a hamburger, hot dog, doesn't
This
matter
is
what it
getting
is.
this is getting gross. I'm gonna have to censor that.
Is it? Does that
Can you
gross you
edit?
out?
I just had this image of like ground beef like sticking out of braces.
No, because like I cut things small and so nothing got in my braces. I was very good about it.
Okay.
Pizza, I ate pizza with a knife and fork. It's possible.
My daughter is super worried about getting braces. She's like, I won't have to have braces, right? My teeth look great. I'm like, yeah, you'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
Cross that bridge.
All right. So, are you going to play some musical
Oh yeah, yeah.
thing for us? I'm excited to
Sure.
hear.
Um. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what I should play. Do you have anything that you would want me to play, like any instrument or anything?
Oh, I was really excited about the bass
Oh,
actually
just play something
earlier.
on bass. Okay,
I mean, if you want to play something on cello,
sure. I'll play some on bass.
I don't know.
Sure.
I was telling John earlier that this moment at the end of the show, throughout COVID, throughout the
I will say-
pandemic.
What's that?
Oh, I was just giving background. I was telling you earlier that this part of the show was always my favorite during the pandemic because it was the closest thing I had to a live music like performance.
That's
And
awesome.
it made me feel a little more normal, you know?
Yeah.
And special too, because I'm kind of your audience of one.
Yeah, totally. All right, I guess I'll preface this by saying, like, I think even before I discovered jazz, because jazz is sort of my thing, or at least what I can do. I do. Um, I remember when I was a kid, I would like sit down at the piano and just kind of improvise. I
Mm-hmm.
did this every day. Um, if it's fall outside, you're kind of like playing whatever you feel,
Yeah.
and I used to love that, like just kind of playing what you feel. Um, if that makes sense, I'll just do that now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I probably am feeling a lot of nerves and anxiety as COVID ravishes my household.
Ah, okay.
So we'll see what comes out. Maybe there's like hope involved as well. There you go. That's my piece for
Yes.
today.
How often do you still do that every day or no?
I don't do it every day, no, but I don't know. It's fun just to play. I've done a my favorite thing to do for just kind of composing is to kind of get out of my head
Mm-hmm.
because I get very much in my head. You start writing and you're like, that sounds like somebody else, or that's stupid.
Yep.
But if you improvise with someone else at the same time, you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of forced to never stop. If that makes sense.
Right.
Sorry, I'm trying to balance this thing. I'm doing a very bad job at it. But yeah, it's like. I guess that's that piece. Um, if I was to work on that further. Uh, but I've done a couple albums with a sax player named Doug Mosier. Where just the two of us spontaneously improvise like that. And we would sort of compose on the spot and kind of work up songs that way. So I like to just sort of do that on the spot.
That's cool.
Yeah. Are you going to play your song now? Are you going to play Done?
I'm gonna play Done for You.
It's my favorite song from the album.
I'm so glad. Okay. Oh, oh, I think I'll take up smoking. never have before, to keep my fingers busy and my body off the floor. You had me at your silhouette, you in your hat and hair. And when I saw you in the light, I had to get some air. What have you done to me? Done to me, done to me. Oh. Well, lately I've been hungry, but I can't seem to stomach food, because you make me so damn nervous. It's the strangest truth. I wrote that script out in my head, the one where we were friends, and somehow it made sense to me, but I couldn't read the end. What have you done to me? Done to me, done to me. What have you done to me? Done to me, done to me. And you think that I'm a robot programmed from my youth, that I don't make my choices or consider other views. And the truth is, and the truth is, and the truth is that I got a little drunk last night and lost all of my clothes, and woke up with you on my mind. I'll never let you know. Done to me, done to me, done to me, done to me. What have you done to me? Done to me, done to me. What have you done to me? Done to me, done to me. What have you done to me? Done to me, done to me. Oh.
Love that song so much.
Sweet, thanks.
Oh, it's so good. I heard the mix from it, and it's so good. It's gonna be so good.
Oh, I should. I just got masters back. I'll send you.
Oh, I heard. Oh, I don't think I've heard the masters. Maybe. You just got them back? How long ago?
Within the last couple weeks. Very recently. I'll make sure you get
I can't remember if what Mary sent me was a mix or a master. I think it was a master, actually. From Jim DeMay?
Yes, masters.
That's what I heard. It was super good.
Yeah, cool. Yay! Well, I'm so glad you were part of my project and that I got to meet you. And thank you so much for being on the show and hanging out tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was cool catching up a little.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have a great night and all the best to you and your fam.
Oh, yeah.
And,
thank you.
Wishing you good health.
Yes. I hope I wake up tomorrow good.
And
I hope everybody wakes up tomorrow good.
I think I put your web links in the... Oh, man, I didn't put them in my note. I put his web links in the description of the show in all the places. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm going to go to bed thinking about duplicitous Southern mannerisms.
Yep.
Bless your heart,
hopefully
Natalie.
Hopefully you don't have any nightmares about that.
No, it's
What do they
okay.
really mean when they say they loved it? It
I
is
don't know.
so great.
I don't know why I still live in this hellhole.
Okay, well, have a
All
good
right.
night, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.